Well, you know, this is spring in the Wabash Valley, and as we were already experiencing the last 48 hours, we've got high winds, we have rain. Missouri and St. Louis had some substantial weather, some tornadoes that came through last night. So since we are in Tornado Alley, that's something that you always have to be cognizant of. This is the time to monitor your weather radios, and if you don't have one, this would be an excellent time to purchase one. And they're very easy to set up, and if anybody had difficulty, we'd be happy to help them set up a weather radio. Other things to remember, at this time of year, it's still possible we can even have some snow this time of year, which would be unusual, but it can happen. And this is the time to look over your emergency planning, such that if power goes out, we had a brief loss of power the other night in our home. Look at things like backup generators. If you have one, when was the last time you started it? It's time to go ahead and get your generators out, probably drain fuel if it's stayed there all winter time. Drain that out, put fresh fuel in it, and make sure that it starts and it's ready to go. Make sure you have enough food and water for each individual in your family for at least a 3-day supply. Blankets are not a bad idea. Right now, rain gear would be very helpful. Because it's so windy, it may be a very good idea to, if you're more in the city, to make sure that your storm drains are clear. So if there's leaves or trash in front of that, it doesn't take much to clear those out, and that helps the water to drain and prevent some localized flooding. Also, if you're out more in the rural areas, if you have culverts, once again, if you can help keep those clean, that helps the overall drainage and prevents some of the flooding. Be very mindful of when we get warnings of flash flooding, particularly at nighttime, you cannot see the depth of water on the roads. And so if it looks like water is either covering the road or flowing across the road, just don't go there. It only takes 4 to 6 inches to float a full-size vehicle. And every year we have rescues in deep water because people think they can get across, and they are very surprised that a few inches of rain and water will send them clean off the roadway.
Now, most people think of winter as being our severe season, but spring is a volatile time of year, isn't it?
For us, it's probably one of our busier seasons. The last few years have been busy with the winter time with some ice and snow, but we can always bet, starting about this time, really through about June, where we have just storms that seem to pop up, linger for quite a bit of time, and we get a substantial amount of rainfall. And when all that comes at one time, particularly this time of year where some of the ground still is fairly frozen, can give us a really significant flash flooding.
Now, is there anything your team is particularly worried about this year, or something that you're being more proactive about this year in regards to any of these?
No, not really. There's a certain seasonality that after you do this a while, you have somewhat of a feel for. We have several thousand sandbags already filled and ready to go should anybody need them. Of course, we store unfilled sandbags. They're just easier to store that way. And we'll respond to calls for service. We, on a regular basis, we live in different parts of the county, so when we travel, we're always looking, usually off the roadways, looking for any particular hazards that we can identify. But right now, it's the idea of asking people to look around their homes. Do you have loose boards? Are there loose shingles? Loose guttering? In high winds, those can become projectiles. So just as a safety measure, just walk around your home. Look from this standpoint, if high winds come through, could this cause secondary damage? Be mindful of your pets outdoors. Storms can come up quite quickly. Can you get them into shelter? And of course, always look out for your neighbors, some of the elderly, some people that may have mobility problems. If you could just check on your neighbor and make sure that they're okay.
Have you been busy the past couple of days?
Well, we've been busy ramping up. And again, making sure we try to keep unfilled sandbags at all of our county-based fire departments and in the city as well, making sure they have plenty of supply. We contact them on a regular basis just to find out what are things going on in their area. Our county-based fire are exceptionally good because they're out making runs all the time to give us a very good situational awareness. County Sheriff's Department is also very good at giving us a heads up if they're seeing areas that may be a potential problem. So we keep eyes and ears out, and so right now we're always in an information gathering mode. So if somebody has a concern, we can try and get eyes and ears on it fairly quickly.